to hear the gospel, you know, and it was a Baptist church. I found out after I got aboard ship, because if we were in dock on Sunday and I didn't have the duty, I went to the First Baptist Church in San Diego, and that was I really enjoyed that church. It is, you know, that ours, we'd only have 3 or 4 or 5 kids in our church, and boy, there was lots of people in that one. I don't know how many, but it was a big church at the time. And then when we made on fleet maneuvers to still talking about the Catholics now. Mm-hmm. I think I told you this yesterday, but when we had the chance to go out on what do they call it? Anyway, it's a weekend. They go out and have a beer, drink, get drunk, all kinds of stuff, you know. And the places that we were going, there wasn't any restrooms there. There was nothing but there was a few people milling around, but we had, I guess they'd sent somebody over to find out if there was a place or where we could take 300 or 400 men and take them out there and let them get drunk, I guess. But when they started to come back home, it took 4 men to get the Catholic chaplain that was aboard on the boat, to take him to the ship.
Yeah, you said that story yesterday.
And then they had to let the gangplank down. So for the captain, so they could take him up and they had to carry him up there. Well, that was enough for me. I didn't go to the Catholic church anymore. We had that, you know, the only church we had on the base was for Catholics. And they had, when we first got to Parris Island, I had to rent a house or an apartment so we could, Jeannie was pregnant, so we needed a place for her to live, and she met a lady that was, her husband was in the Marine Corps, and so they'd go to lunch and have you know, they could relate to each other pretty good. And then, but they didn't have anything but a Catholic church aboard out on the island. But we'd go to the First Baptist Church in Beaufort. And they that church got some pretty good write-ups about military personnel, getting so many military personnel out at the First Baptist Church. I never did get a copy of it that I should have, because that was a big thing for me. But anyway, after, well, I didn't get a car till after we got quarters out at the staff section of the the military booth housing, and then I bought a car from a fella that had just put a new motor in a Plymouth business coupe, and he had gotten the department to see he had children, and he wanted his children riding in the back seat, see. And it didn't, those business coupes didn't have seats. They just had an open space back of the seat. So that's where you could throw all your junk in there and take it. If you were selling, you'd have stuff to sell. If you're buying it, taking it home, you could take more stuff home, I guess. But anyway, he had just fixed it so that the seat would raise up, then drop down, and it dropped down so it just dropped in a tray back of the front seats, so that there was no extra space between, so that kids could fall down in there. And we got it about the time Corinne came along, because it wasn't about 5 months after she was born that we went to Mother and Dad's. I had a vacation, or took a leave, and we took 30 days and went to Mother and Dad's and saw them and other folks, around. But we wanted the girls to see their mother, their grandparents, and that was really the first time that Corinne had seen them, and that was. And then we had a dog named Katie. We had friends out in the country on a farm, and they had a dog that had puppies, and Corinne had picked out this one that she liked, that she liked. The reason she was just kind of crawling, and she would crawl over to this one every time, and she says, well, that looked to me like that dog ought to belong to her.
So you got that dog.
And I said, no, we can't have a dog aboard on the base. And she said, well, you can have dogs out there. I see a lot of them. And so when I told her, no, I wouldn't take a dog, she said, well, I'll give her to Corinne. She wants her. So we got her.
Wow.
And when we went home to Texas, they filled the back seat.
The dog and Corinne?
The dog and Corinne. And when we went the next time, Corinne and Pat and the dog was in the back seat. And after we got, well, see now, we had to leave the dog in Texas. So that stayed with Mother and Dad. She did, while we were gone to Guam for the 2 years.
Wow.
Well, it really wasn't 2 years because the girls were still there until the year before. But they had about a year out there on Guam.
So that was the family dog?
Oh, it was a family dog, yeah. Oh, she loved those girls. And as soon as we got back from Guam, well, we went to Texas. That was on a leave from, we went on a leave, really, from Guam to Texas. And then reported back to Camp Pendleton a month later.
Did you have the dog then? Did you have Kate?
And when we came back from Texas, we had the dog. And it wasn't but just a little while after that we bought the sewing machine in San Diego, because the 12th of September that year, I had to leave to go to, oh, let's see, was that September? The 12th of September we left to go to Guadalcanal. That was 2 years before. So I don't really remember right now what year, what month I left to go to Korea. But we landed at Incheon there, and we had 12 Bailey bridges and barbed wire, I don't know how much now, and sandbags. We had truckloads of sandbags. And when we drove down the street that was the main street in Seoul, it was still sandbagged on each side of the street. So you had just a row in between sandbags to go down the aisle.
Wow.
And then the day that General MacArthur gave Seoul back to Korea, to South Korea, was the day that we hit, our plane flew out right after MacArthur left on his.
Wow.